Hello and welcome again, Kakucho players and viewers and whatnot, for our awesome channel here and there. This is me. This is actually our Untitled KKP show. We haven't come across a title yet because none of us had any inkling or whatnot to call it something different, or the KK plays or whatnot. But anyway, it's just our show where we just talk about video games and what we've been doing for the week or so. Just like a little end of week recap before we enjoy the weekend and whatnot. So I'm your host, Mr. Toffee, Jonathan Toyat. With me right now is of course the awesome writer, video guy, and host of Main Game, Lewis Larcom. How you doing, man?
Yeah, doing good. I guess we can kind of get into it. Our week's been pretty relatively busy. I mean, we've been both working on videos and whatnot throughout this week, and yesterday we had the privilege of going to watch the premiere of a Minecraft movie.
Yes.
So I guess we can start with that.
Tell us all about that. I mean, I know
Yeah,
I was
well,
there, but yeah, just tell us all about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Going into it, I was like, when it was first announced, I was very much in that field where I was just like, why, right?
Yeah,
like
that first
what
trailer,
what?
right? We're referring to the first trailer that came out with Jack Black.
Yeah. I was just like, what's the point? And it was something, I think Jack Black as well was a casting that I found very questionable. I love Jack Black. I grew up with him, and I think I think a lot of people my age, idolize him for his role as Po in Kung Fu Panda as well. So it's like he's a household name when it comes to kind of that kind of slapstick kind of comedy, right? But it was a very, very weird casting in my opinion for something as ambitious as Minecraft, and I go into it in my review, which literally just came out before recording this, but it would have been out for a couple of days already by the time this comes out. But yeah, it's
hopefully in the next 24 hours this will be out, just for everybody's viewership.
Yeah. And I think one topic that I touch on in the review is the fact that Steve is a blank slate. He's nobody and he's everybody. He can be anything and everyone. That's the whole purpose of the Steve character skin. It's for everybody.
Like a Master Chief kind of stand-in per se, right?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And with that, I feel like it was very interesting that like they kind of just gave Jack Black the keys and just be like, just you have the reins now, so like you can just make Steve whoever you want it to be. And it just so happened that it's just kind of an semi-exaggerated version of Jack Black himself, really. And that's great. Like, I love Jack Black, and I think his personality is extremely magnetic, and I think for a lot of adults who are probably accompanying kids to watch this film, he's the kind of sole reason you probably won't walk out. I feel like whenever he's on screen, he makes the cringiness a little less cringy.
I should add that this is the opposite effect of the Borderlands movie last year, where basically Jack Black is put in the voice as the voice of a robot to drive people out of cinemas. Anyway, continue on.
I think Jason Momoa's performance as well in it is a bit lackluster. I feel like he's trying too hard to get onto Jack Black's level. Anyone who's watched interviews or are fans of Jason Momoa knows that he's not as serious as he usually portrays himself in movies and whatnot. He's quite a goofy guy, very similarly to Jack Black, but maybe not as boisterous as Jack Black can be. But that said, you can tell that throughout the movie, Jason Momoa is definitely, it's a very blatant facade where Jack Black's kind of himself and Momoa is kind of trying to get onto his level, Jack Black's level. And
I kind of disagree. I kind of prefer Jason Momoa in this form, where we know that he has a facade being put up because that's what the movie portrays him to be, because he's this former video game champion who wears a jacket and vest and whatnot, and he has a failing arcade business because, come on, nobody goes to this shit anymore. So he's just trying to make a life for himself, try again, and then it actually is made poignant in his character arc, where he actually bonds with another quote-unquote loser in the form of Jack Black in that universe where he thrives more. So I think it actually works really well, and they're on the same level per se. But they don't hog the spotlight, they do share it together, especially in that one funny scene where you know, where they basically are gliding together in the air.
Oh yeah, the
I mean,
Elytra scene.
the
Yeah.
whole homoerotic humor thing going on. It's
Yeah, yeah,
funny and all
yeah.
that. I mean, again, this is a movie for kids, so I kind of open up my mind a little bit about what can go well and what can be more cringe-worthy.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to give props to the other actor for the kid. I got my notes here. Like again, this movie has two big stars riding on it, so you only remember the two
Yeah.
people who are headlining the show. So the kid is Sebastian Hansen. Henry
Yeah.
is also pivotal. He's a creative force, considering that he starts off as a weird, peculiar kid who somehow can build a rocket pack or something in the world.
The jetpack. Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the real life world of Minecraft. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it just plays on really well. But basically, he is actually the brains and technically the adult among the two older gentlemen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do wish I actually do more of the other female characters.
Daniel Brooks and Emma Myers.
Yes, they just feel like they're just along for the ride, and in fact, there was actually one segment where they separated, and
Mm-hmm.
it just feels like their scenes were just there for the sake of being there because they're part of the headlining cast when they feel more like
Yeah.
supporting cast, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think for Emma Myers being the first kind of female protagonist introduced in it, or semi-protagonist in it, I do feel like Dawn, the other character, Danielle Brooks, actually takes more of a spotlight, in my opinion. Maybe it's just her overall presence in the way, maybe. Yeah, just like her overall presence, it's very overpowering in comparison to Emma's portrayal of Natalie, like Henry's sister.
Right.
But yeah, I agree on everything that you're saying as well about Jason Momoa. That is a very good point.
Yeah, it feels more like a bro trip among the three guys rather than, and the girls are just there for the sake of being there.
Yeah. And then there's obviously comments to do with, like, for example, Jennifer Coolidge as well.
Yeah, that was a completely wasted role. I mean, right there.
Yeah.
I mean, again, she has done comedy prior to White Lotus. Don't forget, she was one of the other memorable side characters in the Two Broke Girls. It's a shitty comedy.
Two Broke Girls. Yeah.
And that's Stifler's mom, by the way.
Yes, that's how I know her. I know her as
pretty
Stifler's
much,
mom from Reunion. I think is the first American Pie that I watched.
She's a comedy woman, but then she got her long-deserved Academy role in White Lotus.
Mhm.
And then for her to do this, it's like she's just there for the paycheck, 100%. There's like a little side thing that happens where one of the villagers from the game wander off through the portal into the real life world, and then she ends up dating him, and that's like, yeah, I kind of expected this, but it doesn't go anywhere. So it's like it's only there just to fill up the 1.5 hour storyline they have. So it's just
like a literal, like, just a pointless side plot that is just there to just poke fun at a narrative, I guess. But
it's not about poking fun at narrative. If you just remove that part, it wouldn't matter at all.
Yeah, exactly. It actually does nothing for the film at all. I think the only part I would have been sad about is the fact that Matthew Berry's at the end. Like, that's literally it.
That's like the gut punch where the funniest character in comedy ends up just saying a line to bookend the show or whatnot.
Yeah.
I won't say when and how, but he does make an appearance, basically. Yeah, so it's. I mean, then again, this is a kids' movie, so I'm like, maybe. I mean, yes, there are other kids' movies that do the source material well, like the Lego Movie, which has no meta narrative here or there. So this is more or less for me a mid-tier kids film that you put up on a DVD or a digital player for your kids to have fun and then forget about it the next day. We saw it, and I think I forgotten most of it by the next day or so. Or by the time we record this podcast, I'm probably like, what the hell happened in the movie? All I know is Jack Black and Jason Momoa's characters were flying together in the sky.
Yeah, that is probably the most memorable scene, to be honest. Yeah.
Did you like how the creatures and the monsters and the blocks and the voxel artwork is represented in the movie?
Yeah, honestly, I'm like, it's very blatantly CGI and it's nothing groundbreaking, but I think it's for something that is a kids movie, I think it's very passable. I remember as a kid there was, you enjoy some CG that isn't kind of, the idea isn't for it to be realistic. Like, it's just, you just have to make it more lifelike compared to your bog standard, like booting up Minecraft on your PC. Like, it can't just look like blocks like that, it would just look jarring. So they try and make it a little bit more immersive in that sense, and I think they did a really good job with it, actually. And I think a lot of the animation that they did, whether it be the animals' facial expressions or whatnot, I feel they did hit the nail on the head, and they did do a very good, a decent effort. Like, I don't know really, I find it hard to criticize it because I don't know what else they could have done better, in my opinion. So
Well, that's the sad part. They don't need to, considering this movie is
Yeah.
probably gonna make $1 million plus. I think
Yeah.
Warner Brothers, I mean, apart from Superman, Warner Brothers really need something to get more pocket change. And
yeah,
at the very least, this isn't a soulless cash grab. I mean, it is a cash grab movie, but at least you can tell from watching Jack Black and Jason Momoa, they actually do give a shit about acting their best in a comedy
Yeah.
film per se. So I
yeah.
guess props to them. I mean, any final thoughts and wrap up in the bow kind of thoughts before we move on to our next topic?
I think, if you have a kid, this is definitely worth watching. I don't think you even need to hesitate about whether your kid will like this. They will. That's just a fact. They will enjoy this, and I just find it very wholesome to see that, like, someone like Jack Black, someone who's been in the industry for so long now, someone who I grew up watching, is being put in a position where he can be loved by an entirely new generation as well. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a great movie for kids, and definitely bring your kids out to watch it.
I think this movie needs more Matt Berry. That's for sure.
Yeah, oh, definitely, yeah.
Oh, and also as an A side, I'm actually curious, what are your favorite Jack Black films? Or I guess films left now.
I mean, obviously, I think one of the
You
first
mentioned
Kung Fu Panda.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah, first Kung Fu Panda. School of Rock is probably my favorite.
Mine too.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the best films that he's been in.
Yeah.
Really good stuff here and there. Yeah, I mean, you make AC/DC your highlight soundtrack and whatnot.
Exactly, yeah.
It'll just work out just fine. And Jack Black himself is a rocker.
Yeah.
I mean, he is in the video game Brutal Legend, which
Yeah.
is about music, about a roadie going into a fantasy rock and roll
Yeah.
universe. And then you've got characters voiced by the late and great Lemmy, Rob Halford from Judas Priest, and a couple more. I'm not sure who else voiced the other characters, but a lot of rockers and legendary folks actually starred.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Oh
definitely.
yeah, Ozzy Osbourne's in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who voiced Ozzy who did Ozzy Osbourne voice in the game. I'm trying to remember. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I forgot as well. Yeah, Pick of Destiny as well is a great movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tenacious D. Yeah. Fun
Yeah.
stuff. Dave Grohl as a devil. Yes, good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of rock, let's talk about a show I've seen recently. I mean, since we're on the movie and TV show video game adaptation train, I'll talk about my experiences watching Devil May Cry, a Netflix animated series. 8 episodes on Netflix right now. It's about a demon hunter named Dante, voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, who is being hunted by other demon hunters and the government about a conspiracy and a prophecy that is tying to his family heirloom that he wears around his neck. And along the way, there is a mysterious demon called the White Rabbit, clearly based after the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, going after Dante and hiring demons and other hunters against him. So there's a big underlying plot right there that ties it all up at the end of the episode. And I must say, I really like it. I mean, yes, I will put an asterisk later on why, but for the most part, on the surface and even on maybe at a deeper level, it is a very high-octane, action-packed animated show. Like 8 episodes, it gets the ball rolling with Dante saving a woman with a baby carriage with a baby against a bunch of demons. It all escalates from there. There is a bit of breathing room in terms of exposition and a lot of like talk, especially with the organization called Darkcom that's meant to hunt down demons, being led by a character named Mary Arkham, who will eventually be known as Lady in the Devil May Cry series.
Okay.
So I guess you could say this is like if you played Devil May Cry 3. How familiar are you with the Devil May Cry lore and the story?
Devil May Cry is one of those franchises that I've never played, but I was super familiar with the lore because years ago I went on a binge of listening to like video essays on like the Devil May Cry lore and everything. So it's I know about like who Nero actually is and whatnot, and like I vaguely remember the backstories of both Dante and Virgil and whatnot,
Okay,
and
okay.
what happens between throughout the events of all the Devil May Cry games as well. But it has been a while since I've touched up on that lore. I remember it just being a really, really great story, and I remember wishing that they would make a show or an anime about this eventually. They did make an anime for it back in 2007, but
It was a bit
from
lackluster, if I'm being honest.
yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
This one is
So
much
yeah.
better. This one is much better. It actually
Yeah.
takes parts of the manga that popped up before
Mhm.
the story of Devil May Cry 3, which is again a
Mhm.
prequel, and then it just rolls the punches with adapting parts of Devil May Cry 3 into this anime to
Mhm.
basically start fresh. So for people who are just newcomers getting into what the hell this is about, they're gonna go in just fresh and nice and all that because it's like a brand new. You can treat it as a brand new storyline and whatnot.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of people who like Devil May Cry, they're gonna find a lot to nitpick about, but they also find a lot more to like and enjoy in terms of Easter
Mhm.
eggs and how some of the characters look and whatnot. Having said that, the CG isn't the most impressive because
Right.
some of the demons like Echidna and Rudra and Agni, they don't look that good when. I guess in static it's fine, but when they move around a bit here and there, especially with some really fast scenes where clearly Dante is in CGI mode when he's on the highway in a chase sequence.
Right.
You can tell that they kind of skimped the budget on those parts. But at
Right.
least the 2D parts are great. They look really gorgeous. They're really well done. I mean, Studio Mir has done a lot of action bits here and there. I mean, they did Legend of Korra and a lot of other shows after that, like Voltron and the Dota anime as well. That's under them as well.
Right.
Yeah, and they do action really well. CGI implementation is like a mixed bag. Sometimes it looks alright, sometimes it's mostly terrible. In this
Yeah.
part, it's more I mean, it's not horrendous, but it's still pretty bad.
Okay.
But I'm glad that everything is all done really well. And then comes the 6th episode of the show, where basically it's a flashback backstory episode about two of the prominent characters in the show. And it's done in a very different animation style. I think they hired a French studio for some of the parts, and it looks fucking gorgeous. I think a lot of people
Okay.
are going to be talking about this episode for months to come. So once everyone has finished watching the show this weekend, you're gonna see a lot of people on Twitter, on social media, talking about the 6th episode of Devil May Cry. It's really well done,
Okay.
well portrayed. This is the heart of the Devil May Cry series, where there's a lot of high-flying action and corny one-liners from Dante and all that borderlines on cringe Marvel-esque kind of speak and all that. But it
Okay.
shows his hand, it shows his heart, and its feeling and whatnot in, I guess, from the 4th, 5th episode onward. And then the 6th is like, yeah, it's like think of it as a respite episode before the climactic battles that ensue in 7 and 8. And it does so punctuate that bit really well. It actually establishes the motives of why the characters do things here and there, leading up to the final battle that's expected of these kind of shows.
Yeah.
There is also a bit of an allegory that goes on at the last episode, but I'm not gonna spoil it, don't worry. But it's something you just are gonna watch for yourself, and then you'll be like, did they really just do that? Considering that it's
Yeah.
actually a show that's set in the 2000s era, you could tell that from the show's music, like Guerrilla Radio from Rage Against the Machine, and the opening sequence, which has Limp Bizkit's Rollin' air raid. I was like, what the fuck they're doing there? But I'm on board with that, and then I'm all the more happier for it. So I'd say this is a high recommendation for me. My written review is actually like gonna be done later tonight. I'm just voicing out my thoughts and whatnot, and I'd say it's like either an 8 or a 9 depending on my mood, like 80 or 90.
Okay.
It's definitely worth a watch, but again, just keep in mind that when you look at the last episode of the show, you'll be like, I guess they're going that path, especially when it was a primal topic that was being talked about in the 2000s era, like post 9/11 sort of deal thing going on.
Right.
And the accompanying music that follows during that part of episode 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so just watch that, give me your thoughts. But generally, as a whole, this is a great adaptation. Love the action. I like the fact that yeah, Johnny Yong Bosch did a great job as Dante, despite the fact that he also voices another Devil May Cry character in the original series, the video games. He plays Nero, by the way.
Oh, he plays Nero. Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
So people, when they watch this Dante, will be like, "What's Nero doing? Why is he cosplaying as his uncle?" You know?
Yeah. I noticed it was
But all that aside, it is still a worthy watch. I mean, there were quite a number of like video game adaptations that were like hit and miss, mostly like more on the mediocre side. But I'm glad to say this is like up, like just below Arcane. But that's still a good bar to hit, lah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a very, very commendable. Like that's quite
slightly below
praise
Arcane
right there.
and slightly below Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That's still top anime shows as of recently. That's based off video games.
Okay. All right.